Hey guys, this is Christina,
And it's your girl, Jenny Boo.
and you are listening to
Cultivate her.
Welcome, sisters. Welcome, my
Hey.
Cultivate Her sisters. What's up?
Pop it.
We checking in on y'all. We want to know what y'all doing, how y'all been. Another week, another dollar, girl. How you've been manifesting in your destiny? Are you tapping into that purpose? Tapping in. Girl, have you been drinking your water? That's my favorite line from my
Yeah.
girl, Sarah Jake. She be like, "How you been drinking your water?" And I have not. Have you been drinking your water? Have you been doing your self care? Have
Mm,
you been zenning, girl?
mm. That's
Taking care
important.
of yourself, putting me first. Have you been putting me first?
Every
We
day,
want to
girl.
know.
Every day.
What is your me self thing? What have you been doing? Did you get some extra rest, an extra 5 minute nap somewhere, some me time on the toilet, girl? That's where I get my me time.
Mm, that's
What
true.
you been doing, girls? We want to know.
Mm,
What you been up to, girls? We want to know. Self care all day. Because y'all know self care is the best care. You
that
know,
is
Jen be out
true.
here doing her yoga and zenning. I can't.
Yeah, you got to do something. Even though you don't do yoga, you got to find some kind of time to just meditate and just be in your own peace. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Life is too crazy. It's going at a fast pace, and before you know it, it's going to be over. So you need to take the time to reflect and do things that you enjoy. Otherwise, you're going to be old and wrinkly and wonder what happened to your life. I ain't got time for that.
Jen went all the way in on the intro. Y'all gonna be old and wrinkly. Get your shit together.
Got to take that time to really take care of yourself, invest in yourself, you know,
Hey, no
which
pun
is
intended.
no pun, all pun intended, because that's the topic of today's
It is.
episode. So we just gonna jump right in because that's honestly that's a part of investing in yourself. You need to take the time to make sure you're taking care of your mental and emotional health and not just anything else because that's the most important thing to be honest.
I agree, girl. We need to take care of ourselves. But when we talk about investing in
Mm,
ourselves, to what extent are we talking about investing in ourselves? Because I'm talking about investing in yourself when it comes to your dream. So last
mhm,
podcast we were talking about dreaming big. Now you need to invest in that dream.
mhm.
Okay, and that's where we're going with this. How do you invest in you when it comes to your dreams, right? And my first investment is sacrifice. You ever been in
Sacrifice
that place,
is
girl?
a huge thing. You can't expect to have a change in life without making some kind of sacrifice. You got to make some kind of change and be able to do something different in your life for you to expect a different kind of outcome.
Yeah, I agree because I'm gonna be real with you. I was in this place where I was just like, I don't have time for the business. I'm working full time and then I'm doing this on the side and I'm doing that and I just don't have time. And for a while, woe was idle. It wasn't doing anything. We weren't doing anything. I wasn't keeping up with the team. It was just idle. And that's because I didn't know how to balance. And at some point, I had to sacrifice my time. I had to sacrifice and get balance. So that was huge for me. I had to let something go. Something had to be let go. I had to
Hmm.
let something go. So I decided that I needed to let go of whatever it was that was extra, taking up my time, and invest in my business because it's
Hmm.
mine. That's my dream, and I need to invest in it. And
Yeah.
there's no way for me to do it unless I let something go. I have to sacrifice sleep. I have to sacrifice family time. Because you know what? It's going to be there later on, but we're going to have to cut out where we need to cut out. So I was cutting out some things. So, girls, we're talking to us, we're talking to y'all, we're talking to you ladies. You got to be able to sacrifice. Jen, I know for a fact that you had to make some sacrifices in the last year when it comes to investing in yourself. What
Hmm.
are some huge sacrifices that you had made that you could share with our sisters?
Mm. I would say, hmm, in the last year, other than like financially investing in myself, I would say what I had to do last year that was really important for me was cutting out relationships and people that weren't conducive to my growth.
Mm.
No matter how hard that may be, sometimes we cling on to, friendships, relationships, what have you, out of comfort or out of loyalty. But then when we realize that we're really holding ourselves back from our true greatness because we're trying to settle for these kind of relationships that are really not healthy for us, is more a distraction. you know I really needed to 2020 really enlightened me on my capabilities. I mean, I always knew what I was capable of because I've been taking care of myself for as long as I can remember. So it's never been like something new for me to rediscover myself. But as I got older, and as I get older, and as I continue to grow, you really start to see different things and patterns and behaviors and people that are really like helpful for you to grow and progress, but then you see patterns and behaviors and people that hold you back from your progress. So once you start to build, once you really are able to differentiate between the two, I feel like it's important for you to cut the ties. Otherwise, you're just gonna be holding on to dead baggage, dead weight that's just going to keep holding you back. So that was one thing that was important for me. I had to release, I wouldn't say let go, but I had to just release certain things and relationships, um, just for me to be able to grow and continue to do what I have to do for myself, because I can't, that was one of my biggest things. Um, Making sure everybody else was okay, and taking care of different relationships, and just trying to hold on to these things. But it's just putting me in a position where I'm like settling and I'm losing myself ultimately because I'm trying to hold on to these things. But that was one of the biggest things for me. And the more that I saw that I released those relationships that were not conducive to my growth, and are open, or open myself up to new relationships, relationships with intention, or dating with a purpose, like we talked about before. Even when it comes to meeting friends, like my intention is to just find people that's going to grow with me and help me develop something that I'm ultimately meant to, instead of just finding myself in situations that, don't help me in any way, shape, or form. So that's one of the biggest things that I had to do in 2020, was to invest my time in the things that are important instead of things that are just going to drain my energy. How about
Mhm.
you?
Wow. I think for me, so I had to definitely find time. That was huge. Sacrificing some of the greater things at the moment and find time. So when I was able to find time, I then needed to perfect my craft.
Mm,
I can't invest in myself and not know what I'm talking about, right? So here I am spilling out women empowerment. What is women empowerment about, Christina? That was the first thing I had to ask myself. What is your what are you trying to share with people? What is your story?
mm,
And in the process, who are you trying to reach? That's something that you're supposed to actually ask yourself in the beginning. But I wanted to get more personal. I had to really get into nitty gritty of it. And I had to really perfect what was happening here, develop myself, my skills. How do I want to speak when I'm speaking? Go to more open events where you can speak, interact, and engage with women. Network yourself. So that was in the process of me developing my craft and my skill. I had to find those things. You know what I mean? So I had to take a step back to get my ish together.
mm-hmm,
I'm ready to sacrifice the time into woe, and now I'm ready to get my craft on point. What am I trying to do when I want to get my craft on point? What details are you looking for? What be specific, write it down. So that was what it was for me.
mm-hmm,
Real
mm,
recognize real girl. And I had to get real with myself about the dream. I had to get real with
Mm.
myself. If I'm gonna dream big and I'm gonna invest in Christina, I'm gonna have to definitely get the craft together and get creative. That was the biggest
Mm.
thing for me. Don't worry about what other people doing. Get creative, girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And the ideas just started spilling out. I kid you not, every time I have an idea, I write it down. I write it down or I hit my memo button of like, even when it comes to the podcast, I hit my memo button like, oh my God, that'd be a good topic. And I record it real quick. Because writing it down, sometimes I'll write a title or something and then I forget where was I going with that? So now I start hitting record, And it was huge for me to actually figure out where I'm going. Who am I trying to reach? What kind of people am I trying to reach? What kind of impact am I trying to have? Huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Sacrifice.
because at that point, you're trying to figure out who your demographic is. At this
Mhm.
point, like you said, once you realize what your story is, like what your testimony is, you're gonna reach out to whoever can relate, and that goes for
Mhm.
any age, any race. It doesn't really matter what background you come from. But when you do have to a vision and you're trying to make that vision come into fruition, it's important for you to know who your demographic is. And I think that's where you're going with that. You're trying to realize who your demographic is and trying to reach out to the people who can, relate to your testimony. So that's important because there's so many people out there in the world that are going through different trials and tribulations, but can still relate to the things that we talk about on this podcast. But it's up to you and myself to invest our time and our energy into actually putting together this podcast to be able
Mhm.
to put the content out there. So even with us doing this, it's an investment because it's deeper than just us having a conversation. Me and you talk all the time like it's nothing. We talk about, real shit all day long, but it's the topics that, are the raw and the realest that we share with other people that we're really putting our content out there for the demographic who are open to listening to it. So I think that's a huge thing. And what we're doing right now is exactly that. We're investing in ourselves and investing in our cultivate her community because, women of empowerment, our goal is to reach out to different women and to just be a pillar of an example because everybody has a story, and for us to be here to share our stories and our perspectives is an investment. So I can totally
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah, putting yourself out there is definitely an investment. We had to put ourselves out there. I think that when we see people doing it, and let me be clear about doing it. When we see people living their dreams and
Yeah.
doing it big, I think that we don't understand the work it took to get there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
we sleeping on it, but it took work, honey. It took work and time for us to do this. And creating the content weekly is not easy. You got to keep people like engaged
Engaged.
and
Yeah.
interested.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about perfecting the skill, y'all, whatever it is that y'all want to do, if you want to do nails, you need to figure out 100 million ways to do nails a certain way. And then you start to perfect that craft. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started doing makeup, I know what I was doing. I was just doing all my friends' makeup just to do it. Like, hey, I've been doing makeup at home and I'm really into this. Mind you, I played myself, girl, because I
Mm.
started out YouTube when YouTube just started. And I
You
should
did.
I regret not sticking with YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I remember that because you did my
Now,
makeup that time. Remember?
hmm
Yeah.
yep, we did a full glam. And I
Yeah.
regret not sticking with it, girl. I'm like, dang, look at where YouTube is now.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to invest in myself then, though. My mind at
Mm-hmm.
20 was just
It's crazy
different.
because even then you saw the vision, like you saw the possibility. But the fact that, I don't know if life got distracting or, you just lost interest, but you didn't pull through with it. But you had the vision. You saw that, making videos and, doing makeup and creating different kind of content like that is what your niche was. But it's just a matter of, like we said in the last podcast, there's never too late for you to go back and reach out to those things that you were once interested in. So even though you weren't able to keep on track of the YouTube videos back then, you could always start now because you're still doing makeup, you're still going about and doing what you got to do, you know, like, but coming back full circle, you didn't go full force with your YouTube for your makeup, but here you are in 2020 with Cultivate Her. You know what
Ooh.
I mean? So even
Mm-hmm.
though it didn't happen in the time frame that you wanted it to happen, it's still happening. So that just shows that you
Right.
can go back to your dreams. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
no timeline. There's no, I mean, until we die, like then okay, that's it. We can't do anything else. But as long as we're here on the earth and we have a vision for our dream, you can make that dream come true. It's up to you and the effort that you put in, the time that you invest in yourself to get that dream done, that you'll be able to really reach it. And I think that's important for us to really believe in ourselves so we can get to that point.
Yeah, I definitely realized that things did end up naturally manifesting itself, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right. Look at where I am now in 2020 compared to like 2007 wanting to do YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
YouTube started in what, 03, 04, and it boomed, you know? But I was just like, dang,
Mhm.
now the whole like YouTube is not even what it used to be, you know? The game has changed. It has definitely changed. And just going back to what I said when I talked about, you know, first it was sacrifice, and then second, what it was for me was perfecting my craft, okay, and being able to be creative, right?
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to definitely tell everyone, like, I didn't just woe was something that was an idea, but in the process, I end up saying, okay, if I want to reach women, how am I going to do it? I went to so many conferences in the last year. Any women empowerment event that was in my community or like a huge national event, I went to it. I paid for it and I went. And I passed my cards out and I talked to different women, even women that do different things. Listen, I say I am an idea stealer, but it's not true. What I do is what you're doing, I just make it a little bit better. So I really, it helps me get creative. I love being with other creators and putting my ideas together. Like, whoa, that's a smart idea. Why did I think of that?
Mhm.
And oh, we could do this way. So it's nothing wrong with sharing with someone because you want that person to level up too.
Mhm.
So, you know, in the process of me going and meeting people and creating ideas, I was able to invest in me,
Mm.
half of the programs that women of empowerment have. And I'm gonna tell y'all, the first thing I realized when I was investing in myself is that you have to go with what you know.
Mhm.
And I work with kids with autism.
Mhm.
I've been teaching swim lessons since I was 16, right? I've done speaking events more than once. If it's not in my church or at my school, when we do poetry, like we did so many things. So I'm like, girl, you've had these skills. You're just not using it the way you should.
Mhm.
And the first thing I did was create a program for swim lessons for
Yeah.
kids that caters to kids with autism. I started out just teaching swim lessons to people who wanted to learn in the community who couldn't afford swim lessons. And I charged them for the low. I don't care. You want to learn how to swim? Let me just teach you. Then it develops into, hey, Christina, why won't you why won't you just create a program for women of empowerment and make it a mommy and me program and call it Special People Swim
Mhm.
and cater to those who can't afford swim lessons.
Mm.
And then, oh, your extra niche. You know how to work with kids with autism.
Mhm.
Boom, right there.
Mhm.
Girl, that was me connecting with the mind and thinking like, girl, level up when you invested in you, boo.
Yeah. A lot of people don't really think that when we think about what our purpose in life is, we don't think back to the basic things of like what we're good at, what we did when we were younger, what we are used to. We always think outside of the box. So when we really want to focus on like your purpose in life, you need to go back to the basics. Like what makes you happy? The worst thing in the world would be for you to go into a career path or anything, a purpose or what have you, and you hate it. You know what I mean? Like, who wants to go to work and hate their job every day or go into whatever they do and just not be content? You know, you need, if that's the case, you need to reevaluate your life. Like, if you're not satisfied with the place that you want to be in your life, you need to go back to the things that you enjoy, no matter how simple it may be. Like, for me, example, me getting back into yoga. I started doing yoga when I was in high school. I think I started, it was me and my older sister. We would watch, like, there's like this channel that we used to have where we would just go and watch, YouTube video. And it wasn't even YouTube back in the day. It was like a specific channel on TV. And we would just follow along with the videos and do yoga. And who knew that that would years later manifest into me now, still getting into yoga because that helps me stay at peace, stay calm, helps me keep my body toned and in shape and keep my muscles intact because, like, who would have thought? Like, we just need to focus on what we need to do as an individual and what we need for our personal development and growth. And you don't know the amount of people that you can reach from there because the best thing that you could do is talk about something or, explore something that you're already interested in. It's easier for you to pull people in or reel people in when it's something that you're passionate about, as opposed to jumping into a whole new territory where you have to familiarize yourself with something, you know,
Mhm.
and try to sell or convince someone. You just did the basics. We were in swim team together, so for the fact that you started a swim program for this organization that you started from from high school because we were on a swim team, because something as basic as joining a swim team and developing that sense of team and working with others, and you even developing yourself as an individual within that team. Who would have known that that would have helped develop your character to the person that is now, to be a leader because you have the confidence in yourself, to because you know how to swim, you know how to instruct, you've been doing it since you were 16, and now here you are years later as an adult, and you're able to really like progress onto new ventures with that, So I think that it's important when we're trying to figure out who we are, just figure out the basics about what we like to do, what keeps us sane, satisfied, and try to figure out ways that we can incorporate that and, find our purpose within that.
I agree. You know, something that you said that really that stuck with me, and I had to look it up, was about people working in their jobs every day and just going day by day. And I know we spoke about it, but I just pulled it up, and it says that a global poll conducted by Gallup or Gillip, I think it says Gallup, uh it says that it has uncovered that out of the world's 1 billion full-time workers, only 15% of people are engaged at work. That means that an astronomical 85% of people are unhappy in their jobs.
Mm, girl, you better speak
85%.
on it. Girl, that if that's not the truth, I actually want to I can relate, because I was just telling you earlier today about my job. And don't get me wrong, I'm so satisfied with my job. I'm content. They treat me good and they pay me well. It helps me sustain my bills. But let me tell you, girl, I had a conversation a few weeks back with one of my employers. I don't call him my boss because only boss I have is my dad. But one of my employers, we had a conversation, and I was just expressing to them, we were going through a tidbit about coronavirus and the shutdown and any kind of plans that they will put into place if in the event the government shuts down again. But as we were discussing my my state at that time, my boss asked me, like, okay, so what is it that you're doing? And I was telling him, like, look, I'm overwhelmed, I'm tired, I'm working, I'm driving 24/7, I'm trying to make time for my family, I do a podcast, and they're like, oh my God, it sounds like you're doing too much. You can't do everything. And I was like, these are things that I want to do. Like, I'm not going to like not do hang out with my family and do the podcast and, have a social life. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like, little do you know, the one thing that I would get rid of is this job. Like, you're not gonna like, I'm not gonna put my mental health on the line just to come and make you rich. You know what I mean? Like it's important for us to really do what's conducive for us. So a lot of employers will, disregard that because, of course,
Yeah.
if you're an asset to their team, they're not going to try to risk losing you. But when you get to a point where you are just tired of the same old and you need a change, girl, you need to make that change or the change will make you. You
That
know
is
what
so
I
true.
mean? So I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought it was funny because he would tell me like, "Oh, you can't do it all," but in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, this job would be the first thing to go of all the things on that list. You just don't even know because if you're not comfortable, if you're not satisfied with your job, or if you feel like you're not getting your worth, then it's like, what's the purpose? Spend
Yeah.
all this time making people rich, and then you're just not content. I can't do that."
That's how I felt for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I
But
get it.
and it took me a while to get settled with it because I was like, I'm so restless. And for me, I had to take it to God and I prayed on it.
Yeah.
I did. And then I heard, I'm preparing you for what's to come.
Mm.
So learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. And people kept asking me, like, if you're not happy, why are you still there? And I said, because it ain't time yet. When it's time, and actually, we were talking about how things have seasons, right? Sometimes the doors are closed. And when the season comes for the door to be closed, because everything has a season, when that
Mm-hmm.
season comes, I'm going to go. I'm not going to be premature about nothing,
Yeah.
you know? People
Mm-hmm.
kept telling me to leave, 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 leave. Why you still leave, leave, leave? No, I'm going to leave when it's time for me to leave.
When the
God's going to
time
have
is
to get
right.
me out of here because
Yeah.
when I prayed about that job, I kept hearing it's not time, it's not time, it's not time. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Uh,
Mm.
uh, But now it's Christina's time, y'all. Now it's my
Mm-hmm.
time to dream big. Now it's my time to invest in me. And don't get it twisted, y'all. Y'all gonna hear whoa. Y'all gonna see whoa, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be impacting, okay? We're gonna be out here impacting. We're gonna be out here influencing. We're gonna be making an impact.
We already are making an impact. We're gonna make a greater and bigger impact. That's what we gonna do.
Thank you, Jen. That's why she's
Yeah,
here.
girl. Seriously.
But I was in that place, girl. It's crazy because to me, it seemed like your bosses weren't even considerate for you, though. It was just like no consideration at
No,
all.
girl.
Like, so how can you, since you're doing so much, how can you eliminate some of that, and invest in us? Because that's what we need.
Exactly. They're like, oh, well, sounds like you're doing too much. Spending time with my family is too much. Like, okay.
While
And
you
like,
put money in their pockets and they chilling. Let me tell you what
yeah.
blew my mind. My job that I was at, we couldn't really take days off, right? But the bosses, they can. So although I get 4 PTO days for the year, they can take time off whenever they feel like.
Mm-hmm. Vacations and all of that.
Take
Mm-hmm.
a trip to Paris, take a trip to Africa, take a trip to Egypt, take a trip to the Bahamas for a whole week, while I can't even get a day off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? I'm
that's
here working,
exactly what I'm
money in
going
your
through.
pockets. But it's not that's not even a personal thing. Let's be real, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just business, right? It's just business when it comes to them. They're like, we hired
Mm-hmm.
you. This is what you need to do. So I get that. But
Mm-hmm.
for us now, we need to, it's just personal for them, but it's not personal for them. It's just business, but we need to make it personal for us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
Yeah.
make it personal for us. Okay.
Yeah.
If, my plan was to go part time after the new year. I was like, I can't do this no more. I'm going to go part time and just leave, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because I'm like, I would come home, I'm exhausted from working literally long days. And then I'm trying to work on woe stuff. And then what's crazy is Saturday and Sunday, the only days I'm off, I spend Saturday trying to get my life together and record the podcast and put out content and prepare all my content for the month to come or the weeks to come. And then Sunday, I'm so exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exhausted
Yeah.
to get
I
up. I
get
would
that.
get, girl, I wasn't sleeping.
Mm.
Listen, y'all, I wasn't sleeping. This is crazy. Girl, I wasn't sleeping at nights. I tell you, the only time I would sleep good was Saturday into Sunday.
Mm.
Because Friday I get home, I'm so exhausted that my body can't unwind. I'm still tense from go, go, go. And then Saturday, I'm like, oh, finally. And Sunday, the sleep is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday night, when I got to get up for Monday, listen, stress. I'm up all night, restless in my bed.
Yeah.
I did
It's
that for
the
3 years.
anticipation because you just know how draining it
It
is.
is.
I work part time. Like I work part time and I'm still drained because if I'm not working, I'm driving. If I'm not driving, I'm like taking care of somebody else's kids. Like I
Mhm.
need, you know what I mean? Like my weekends are the only time really that I have to myself most times because most times I have family with me, but it's important for you to focus on what's conducive for you, and the fact that you were able to really see that you're in a whole different space than I am. I'm trying to get on your level, girl.
It's
But
scary though, girl.
it's girl, I can
Scary.
imagine. That's why when you said you had a plan in line,
Mhm.
when you were just like, but it's funny because they say when you make a plan, God
God laugh.
laughs. That is so,
Yes.
that is so true. But no, God knows that I make my plans because I just can't help it. But
Mhm.
whatever falls in line, I'll be so ready for it. That's the place that I'm at now. I'm gonna make my plans because I'm anal like that. But whatever happens, whatever comes my way, I'm just gonna take it and run with it. And I know that I'm gonna have my backup is God. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I believe that, whatever gets thrown my way, I'm going to be able to manage it because I'm just that type of person. So the fact that, no matter what situation that you go through, if it's not conducive for you, like you just need to be comfortable with making that change or accepting the change. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck. You don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're investing in everybody else and then yourself is the last person that you really get time to maintain or get time to really like focus on. That's not good. You got to invest in yourself. That's the most important thing because if there's no you, first of all, let's just put it out there. Any and every employer, excuse me, every employer will replace you in a heartbeat. Like that's just what it is, no matter how irreplaceable you think you may be. An employer will go out and find another employee to fill your shoes if they feel like they need to or if they feel like you're falling short. But it's up to you to really invest in yourself because you know how valuable you are. Nobody really sees your value until you put it out there for them to see. And then even then, they have higher expectations. You really need to focus on what you need to do for yourself and what's conducive for your growth and put the energy out there for yourself to grow, invest in yourself because it's just too time is flying by, literally. This year, like flew by like it was crazy. And when I really think about how much time, if I think about how much time went past that I was sidetracked and focusing on everyone else instead of myself, it's kind of disheartening because when we don't have any other time to really get back our time. We got to
Mhm.
really get back to what makes us happy and what our purpose is.
Reclaim your time.
Yeah, girl.
That's really what you're saying.
Yeah,
Reclaim your time because you can't get it
exactly.
back. And that's what blows my mind, Jen, because we're at these jobs. I know we talking about we're talking about dreaming big and
Invest.
investing in yourself, right?
Mhm.
Because they are tied in together. Let's not front, right?
Yeah.
But like, it just kills me that I invest so much time into this job, and I was just like, girl, can I tell you that if I worked on a regular day, I would just go to work and I got home and it was nothing for me to do. Like on a weekday, Monday through Friday, I did nothing but go to work, come home, and go to sleep. I did that for a long time. And I was depressed. And I was like, yo, why am I so depressed? And then I realized that was the issue, that I wasn't making time for me.
Mhm.
Then I started making time for me. I started getting, like I told you before, I think we talked about this in the last podcast, how we take time for ourselves. Get up a
Mhm.
little extra early. You have your bubble baths. I do working. I go work out. I go to the gym. We
Mhm.
had to figure that out because
Yeah.
work was just like, and that's the thing about America, why there's so much like, we had this go mentality, work, 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 spend money, work, 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 spend money. but we actually don't do anything to fulfill ourselves.
Girl, yes. Yes.
Like
I think that's what my boss was missing in that conversation. Like he had the idea that when he asked me that, when he told me that I can't do everything, I had
Mhm.
to think to myself, like, do you expect me to work and then go home and then go to sleep? Like my life has, even though I don't have children, I feel like people with children feel like their purpose in life is their children, which is fine.
Right.
Whatever floats your boat.
Okay.
But what is your purpose outside of the children? Like as an individual, what is your, because your children grows up and they go off and they do their own thing, they have their own lives. We need to know what our purpose is, period. And I can't get comfortable just getting up and going to work and coming back home. And because I can relate, that's my life now. Go home, and I sometimes I crash on my couch because I'm too tired to do anything else.
Mhm.
Like that's not the purpose in life. You need to find things that really fulfill you. And like you said in the last podcast, take the time out to invest in yourself, because if you don't take the time out to invest in yourself, then I could understand completely why you could end up depressed, because that's a depressing life. That job wasn't fulfilling you. And for you to just go to work and come back home, you just probably felt like you didn't have a purpose other than work, which, I mean, who wants to just work for someone else forever? Like, that's not cool.
Don't get me wrong, I loved my job, but I wasn't walking in my purpose.
Yeah, it didn't
And that
fulfill
was
you.
the issue.
Nothing
It
wrong with
wasn't
that.
fulfilling me. You understand?
Yeah,
I hated the fact that I was just putting so much time into someone else and their dreams and doing nothing for myself. Everything of my own was being put aside.
I could see
And
that.
that's another thing when it comes to, we talked about, I keep going back to it because I want to make sure that we're on track. It's not just, it's sacrifice, it's about being creative and perfecting your craft and then finding balance.
Mm-hmm.
Find that balance because you still need money, right? We still need to pay these bills. Let's not get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
So find balance
Yeah,
in investing in yourself. Because
that's
the
what I'm
money
trying
that's in your
to find
pocket, you're
out.
gonna have to invest in the business that you got anyways.
That's true.
You're gonna have to pay a few people, you know? So we just definitely have to make sure that we stay on track with that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, keep it going, keep believing, keep moving, keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just need to, if you need to remind yourself about what your purpose is. Me, what I like to do as a reminder, I like sticky notes. Okay, so anywhere, if you come into my room, you'll see sticky notes all over the place. And sometimes it's words of affirmation, sometimes it's a reminder, sometimes it's just notes that I need to remind myself. Remind yourself about what your purpose is. Remind yourself that of your greatness, so that way, when you're walking in your purpose, you're walking with confidence. You need to remember to invest in yourself, whether it's financially, emotionally, spiritually. Just do what you need to do, so that way, if you are working, or if you're trying to still find your purpose, or if you had children, or you're in a relationship, you can still find your sense of self, and you can continue to walk in that light and continue to grow, instead of just get lost in the everyday life. So I think that's definitely one thing that we need to really focus more on when it comes to investing in yourself.
I agree with you 100%. I definitely think, like I said before, focus is selective.
Mm,
You have to choose, you have to select the different things and make sure that you're focused on it.
mm-hmm,
Make that decision. Come on, girl. Like, I know y'all listening to this right now. Think about it. What have you been putting your energy off into that you don't need to be putting your energy into?
mm,
Right? How these long hours? What do you have to show for it? What? Some shoes, a bag, some materialistic things?
mm-hmm.
But how is it feeding into your life? You know?
Right.
Those things, you're gonna die and leave those things. Life as human beings, we actually need purpose. We
Mm,
need to feel, we need to feel like we belong. And that's where depression leads. Some people lead into depression because they don't know who they are, where they're supposed to be, where they fit in. They always feel left out. And that's because they just haven't found what works for them in some
mhm,
cases. Not for everyone, just saying in some cases.
mhm,
What drives you? You know, you got to figure that out. Like, you're home and you're thinking that, hey, maybe Christina and Jen's right. Maybe they're right. So say we're right. What's the first step?
mm. I think
What
the
are you
first
going to
step,
do?
you got to list about 5, 10 things that you like about yourself, that you like to do, that fuels you. And it can't be surrounded by anybody else. It needs to be about you. Okay. So the more that you surrounded about everybody else, the more you're going to get sidetracked and distracted. So when it comes to investing in yourself, you really need to understand yourself. So once you go back and you really start to list these things, you'll have a better understanding about who you are. And then you can go on and think about what you expect from yourself or even others and what you need, and then just really start figuring yourself out. This is me, girl. This is me talking to myself because this is what I've been going through in the past year, just really defining myself. And now that I have the confidence, I've really been taking the steps necessary to really invest in myself in any way possible. Because, like you said, if you're not going to invest in you, how can you expect anybody else to? You know?
I agree. I agree with you. You
Yeah.
cannot expect. And that's the thing. When you go out and you're trying to brand something and market it and say, and buy this, buy that, you don't even know how to present it. You don't, because you didn't even invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen, that was a valid point. I want y'all to definitely take the time. Take the time to invest in yourself. Sacrifice a couple dollars too, because it's not always about money, but you have to do that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Even
sacrifice
if, like you
time.
said, you just sacrifice, don't get that purse that you wanted. If you gotta make food at home to save some money, so that way you can financially have something to invest into yourself financially, like
Mhm.
make the sacrifices necessary, in all aspects, even if it's mental and emotional, and you have to cut certain people off. Make the necessary investments because you just don't know how great your life can be once you're in that groove of really taking care of yourself. Like you feel so much more fulfilled once you really are able to identify and invest in yourself in the proper way.
I agree. I agree. Listen, if we ain't motivate y'all today, girl, I don't know, girl,
Girl.
girl.
Yeah.
I hope that this kicked you right out of your seat and fueled you right into investing in yourself. Pick up that dream, girl.
Hmm.
It was stashed away somewhere, but it's time for you to pick it up and invest. Okay?
Aren't you tired of
Claim your
putting your
time.
dreams to your side? Don't put your own dreams to the side to make somebody else's dreams come true. Who does that?
Ooh, that's our
Who?
whoa moment. That's it.
Yes. You
That's
can't do
our
that.
whoa moment because we are in the same place.
Hmm.
So I know. Whoa moment of the night. Say it again,
Yeah.
Jen. Say it again.
Don't put yourself to the side to invest in somebody else's dream. You got to invest in yourself, boo boo.
Mm,
Invest in yourself first because you can't, that's like you're giving from an empty cup. Like you have a half empty cup, whether you see it half full or half empty, and then you see someone else with half, and you're going to take your cup and you're going to fill their cup. No, boo boo. You got to invest in your cup. Make sure your cup is overflowing so that way when you're just like, okay, I have extras, here we go. I can give out. Yourself comes first. Make sure your cup is overflowing, but don't expect to get that from anybody else. You need to fulfill yourself. Okay. Fulfill yourself so that way you're able to invest in yourself. So that way you're not expecting anything from anybody else from the outside. That's how I see it.
that was on point.
Hmm.
Girl was on point today.
Yes.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Invest
Thanks.
in yourself. Listen, you got to put yourself out there. So do it. We're not working for nobody but ourselves. You only live one life. If 2020 ain't teach me nothing, life is not promised.
Mm.
Okay?
Girl.
A lot of people young, my age, gone just like
Mm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who knows if they put their dreams to the side?
Yeah.
I ain't
No
gonna be
more.
out here dying saying what if
No
on
more.
tomorrow and be like, what if I did?
No.
Society teaches us to play it safe, but how about they teach us to step out and live our dreams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come
That's
on.
because we're trying to see it from other people's lens. Like we said in the last podcast, you can't expect everyone to see your vision. Not everybody has the capacity to see things the way you see it, you know? Otherwise, everybody will be doing the same things. We'll all be, you know, financially free. Some people like to have, certain stipulations. Some people like to work for a job and, go until they get benefits and they get the 401k and whatever floats your boat. But just remember that you can't keep filling somebody else's cup if yours is half empty. You need to make sure you take the time, even if it's meditation, if you like to take bubble baths like me, or if you just like to take a night off and just take some wine. Do whatever you need to do to invest in yourself, whether it's emotional, physical, financial. You just need to find that balance, because if you don't take care of yourself, how could you possibly have what it takes to invest into everybody else? You're not going to have anything to give, right?
That's true. And that's the thing. Our jobs, there's so much being drained and sucked out of us
Mm-hmm.
that we have nothing else to give for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So that's where we find a balance. That's where the balance
absolutely.
is to be found, right there. Y'all, sucking my teeth because enough is enough.
Mm.
I'm going into full throttle with this, okay?
As you should. Yes,
Like
girl.
Jen says, what fuels you to get to it. Get
Mm-hmm.
it done. Get her done.
Yes, girl.
It's that time. It's that time to reclaim your time.
Here she
No
go
more
with the
playing
song,
games.
y'all. Here we go. I
I know a song was coming, girl.
seen it. I heard it. I heard it. But I like it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Listen, we need those purpose chaser letters, okay? We're talking about investing in yourself and dreaming big. I can't wait to hear. I cannot wait. Please send out your purpose chaser letters. I would love to know how you are dreaming big and investing in yourself.
Right.
Let us
Tell us
know. I
how
would
you're
love
finding
to hear.
balance. That's what I need. I need advice how y'all be finding balance. So if you found balance in your life, if you need to help and find balance, just write us and let us know so we can share our thoughts and we can learn off of your experiences. So I love it.
Yes. Listen, we had a date next Tuesday. So we see y'all next Tuesday. Don't forget Tuesday. The podcast is up. Catch us on YouTube if you don't know. We are on YouTube. We are on every social media platform. So we do video and podcast. So don't get it twisted. We all up in everything, okay?
Everywhere. Find us everywhere.
Everywhere. And Whoa Inc., one thing that we love doing on Mondays is Affirmation Monday. That's when you post a picture of yourself and hashtag Affirmation Monday and at
Hmm.
us. Listen, girls,
Gas
y'all,
yourself up. Yes.
big up yourself, like Jamaicans
Hmm.
say. You have to big
Yeah.
up yourself. So every Monday, that's what we do. We big up ourselves
Hmm.
and we at each other and we show each other that we're loving on ourselves and what we're affirming each week. All right.
Hmm.
Now, listen.
Listen, Linda.
Listen. Invest in yourself, all right?
Yes.
It's time. See y'all next week. Deuces.